Alright, guys, we're talking Cave Island. What's your opinion on Flower?
Uh,
Flower.
Honestly, I should have stayed in silence because what's there to say about this guy?
I mean, this is like, besides Baby, this is probably his best island.
It's the one with the most emotion put into what he's saying.
Yeah, it's because it fits. Because Flower's an edgy monster, and this is an edgy island, so it fits.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad we're getting Flower out of the way first because it's probably like the least important.
It's the most neutral monster. No one hates Flower. No one loves Flower. He's like, oh yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, he doesn't really do much.
He duets pretty well with the monster. No, not duets, but he just meshes well with the monsters that play in that verse.
Yeah.
And he's OP in the remix when he plays like the only the who catchoos at the end of the bars.
He does that in like the final verse of the song, but it is
Right.
executed a lot well in the what's it called? In the remix, yeah.
I feel like he's honestly, it's one of those cases where it's just kind of okay in the game, but if you use the composition in fun ways, it could be really, really good for remixes.
Yeah, and like it is just okay in game, but at the same time, I feel like it's just a like extra spice on top. It isn't needed. It's not anything special, but it's appreciated.
Yeah. It's the only island where besides continent, obviously, where I would consider Flower's contribution to the song to actually be of substance.
Yeah, nowhere like obviously Continent, that's his best island, but all other adult flowers, he's basically borderline completely useless.
Hmm. Speaking of completely useless, if we're gonna get one low monster out of the way, we might as well get both of them out of the way. So what about Thumpies?
Thumpies does nothing.
Oh,
And it's sad. Thumpies is listen, here's the thing. This is what Thumpies gets for trying to not do Mammoth like they do on every other island.
Bro, but not Mammoth. Thumpies is so it's good on its own. It's like the best Thumpies individually, but it sucks because it plays in the big verse with literally everything. And we've done a remix where we can prove that Thumpies can be OP.
Yeah.
You know what's another thing? Here's the thing. We have a huge, big orchestral song, and they got to use timpanis on it. That's like handing a kid the car keys. You got the big guns now. You got plenty to work with your OP, and then I just made it unhearable and not really useful to the song in any substantial way.
Darn shame.
I think that's just Thumpy song and dance. It's always just missed opportunities and wasted potential.
Thumpy's got the octopus on Plant Island treatment.
Yeah, basically.
At least they can hold the composition above him this time. Because they're not just Mammoth copy.
Yeah, okay, here's the thing though. See, from our start in 2 months, people are probably thinking, oh, bro, Cave's another island that they hate because we hate all islands ever. But here's the thing. We got to prove that isn't the case by talking about, let's see, we got plenty of OP monsters to work with here. How about Shelby?
Shelby.
Oh.
Alright. So, you want to talk about the biggest glow up of all time. Look at pre-Shellbeat Cave Island and post-Shellbeat Cave Island. It's
Song wasn't a song before.
Also, you gotta love one thing about Shelby, and that's the fact that it makes Cave Island polyrhythmic.
Oh, dude, you're right.
And it works so well.
Dude, Shelby on Cave Island is literally the perfect percussion monster. There is not a percussion monster in the entirety of MSM that beats Shelby Cave.
Well,
it does everything.
It's the peak of percussion. There's nothing that's gonna be better than because it fits so perfectly because you got this big old cave that's dripping and dark, and they just got it feels like it was recorded on Cave Island. Like it just fits perfectly for the theme and like the acoustics and everything.
One criticism I will give Shelby, though, is Shelby is so good at its job that the one verse where it isn't playing is super jarring because it's just nothing.
Yeah, Shelby shouldn't stop playing ever.
I mean, I feel like it would have been better if it had some sort of transition or fade out.
Yeah, I wish it just had like a cymbal crash and then it stopped.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like in general with Cave Island, they kind of dropped the ball with how they were ending it. I get what they were trying to do, but like it doesn't really work that well for this kind of song.
The other thing I like about Shelby is how it's one of those instances where less is really more. Because if it was like any faster or had any more in it, it just kind of would have been distracting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
definitely. Bro, if it wasn't for the fact that this island is full of OP monsters, Shelby could so easily be in the top 3.
I mean, yeah. It's one of the most impactful monsters.
This island is just Cold Island, but them actually using most of the monsters to their full potential. Let's talk. Here's the thing though. There's a single monster where it's really not used to its potential at all, and this is like the one and only bad island for this monster, Quibble.
oh, oh, I feel
Quibble,
so
quibble, quibble,
sorry for this
quibble,
monster.
quibble, quibble, quibble.
It's so
It's so
First
alright.
track is fine.
The first track there's the do 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 do. It would have been better if it just wasn't played a lot because it kind of gets repetitive after a while.
I don't get what it's trying to be. Is it like an alarm? Is it like I don't know what it is.
It doesn't know how to loop. It just like because like I don't know what like it's so like I don't I can't tell what they're trying to do. It's like it sounds like they were trying to make it offbeat on purpose.
Mm. Oh, the freaking alright. The Kana verse track, the Mammoth verse track, the Everything verse track. It is
So
atrocious.
It is awful.
Like, it's not even that the notes itself are bad because like chord wise it's not terrible. It's just the rhythm is it doesn't even have a rhythm.
it's just randomly pecking notes, and it's like it doesn't loop properly in any way, and it just doesn't work at all. It's like I don't know. It's like it's also really really poorly used, like potential wise. Because Cave Island's supposed to be these huge, giant, impactful climatic versus these like soft, somber, sad verses, and that those somber, sad verses would have been literally perfect for Quibble to play there and set the mood. And instead, they decided to have it play in the other part where it isn't really needed or wanted.
So offbeat, so it's just automatically bad.
Yeah.
Not to say that
Or
like being quote unquote offbeat can't be a good thing.
It's bad if you're offbeat, but it's good if you like play on a different. You can play on a different beat, but like when you like decide to play on a different beat, like
It's not
1/6.
intentional. That's what kind of drags it
Yeah,
down.
yeah. It just sounds. Yeah, it really sounds like it's as if they composed Quibble in a completely different BPM. Like they heard Cave Island, then they composed Quibble without actually hearing Cave Island. Just like not listening to Cave Island, just like based on, oh yeah, that's what it sounds like. And doing that, it's like, oh, this is actually like completely different time, and it doesn't really work. But they just didn't redo it.
You know what's another like really bad thing, and it's something that you can't even say for some of the worst monsters in the game. Because
What?
like you look at the Dipsters and you listen to Rare Wubbox and stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, by themselves, honestly, they're okay. Especially Dipsters by themselves. You're like, all right, I can kind of vibe with this. You know, there's some of the tracks that are kind of really nice, like the Air Island ones. But then you listen to Quibble on Cave Island by itself, and you're like, what the fuck am I listening to? What's the
It's just
melody? Where's the harmony?
it's just bad.
Yeah.
All right,
People suck on this island.
we've been going good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. We went good, bad, good, bad, so we got to do a good again. So I want to talk about my main man, Mammoth.
Dude, people hard sleep on Mehmet on this island. He's OD.
Yeah, what's
I don't like his
OD?
animation though.
Nah,
That's the one bad thing about it.
his
Because
animation is repetitive.
yeah, it's because it's just the same animation 3 times. But at the same time, I don't really care about animation that much. I care about the song and the design.
Yeah.
That's
And the
fair.
song for Mammoth is bopping.
It's one of those islands where the deep booming voice is like actually really fitting, and they went full in. They went hard into that.
This also feels like obviously it's not going to be anywhere close to as bassy as like Plant Island, but it feels decently basic compared to the usual.
Hmm.
It's a Mehmet done right.
Yeah.
And it's good to see that happen again since
That being that being said, I do think it isn't exactly remarkable. There's nothing really special about my Mouth Island. I think he's great on this island, but also I feel like it's not his downside fault. It's more so everyone else on this island mostly outclasses him.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's also kind of good because it means there's a lot of competition for the best.
Yeah, it's all good fun.
There's gonna be a lot of honorable mentions on this island.
Island with honorably mentioning.
All right, what's another bad monster we can talk about now?
Wink.
Wing.
Arguable.
Wink. No, Wink sucks. It's so
It's
it's the
not
worst
a
Wink.
lot. It doesn't do much. I can admit that. I like Wink on Cave Island, but I definitely see what's wrong with it.
I think something that BB did and they messed up with is Wink literally has 2 separate tracks recorded, so it can be like everyone else on the island who has one track for the main part, and then a final track for the part where things shift over a little bit. But instead, they just have him play the second one 3 times in a row, so it makes it kind of boring. And then another thing is like, see, with the remix, people like Wink can be OP due to the fact like just like how they were just having it be something in some ear, something in another ear. But in game, because you can't really do that, it just makes it like add on to the overflowing amount of vocals in that verse, and it really kind of messes the flow up.
Mm.
I just don't understand what Wink is trying to do because you have this like super, like dark, like island. The song is dark and chaotic, and then you just have Wink over here going ba-ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Like, what are you doing? If he had his like Fire Oasis voice, it'd be a lot more fitting.
Probably.
It feels like he's trying to add a little bit of somberness to that verse.
But
It's po-
that's the one verse that's not meant to be somber.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that's
Maybe
like
somber isn't the right word. For me, the way I describe it is more desolate.
lighter. It's like lighter.
Hmm. Well, that was
Like,
what?
I'm not sorry. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna switch subject. You should go first.
Oh, I wasn't gonna say anything, but let's go ahead and switch the subject.
All right, I was gonna say we talked about a bad monster, so now we gotta talk about a good master. Go back and forth because Cave Island is just that polarizing. But I want to save some of the really good ones for later, so I'll let someone pick. I don't know.
I
Flog? Yeah, Flog's my favorite good monster.
let's talk about Yelmet.
Yelmet? Yelmet, he screams.
Yelmet's worst Glowl.
That doesn't mean he's bad, but Glowl's melody is more pleasing, definitely. And
Yeah.
their harmony together is not that great.
Listen, it's because they mixed it wrong. They either do two things. They either be like, oh, one in one ear, one in the other, or what they should do is just make Glowl louder and then make Yelmet to the side.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Yelmet is yelling, he's gotta be loud.
Yeah, but Yelmet is kind of not as important composition-wise.
I
Because he just
think
does the same thing 3 times.
I think something to keep in mind is like the timing, because when Yelmet came out, there wasn't Wink and Barb and all these others and Riff crowding up that verse. So he was like there wasn't really any dead air. But he was kind of just like setting the entire chaotic mood with his full-on screaming, and I do think it is very smart and like creative of BBB to be like, oh hey, we have a yodeling monster and it's all it does is scream. So that's a good opportunity to like, instead of it making the lighthearted yodeling you'd expect when you hear the word yodel, we're gonna do the opposite, and it can still work in like in almost metal song. It's like all intense and stuff, but it's yodeling, and that's funny, and it feels very MSM.
Yeah, Yelmet is a monster where its personality is good enough to justify its kind of whatever composition. If we were judging it on the composition alone, I'd just kind of shrug my shoulders. It doesn't really do a lot.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's not professional.
It's just kind of like icing on the cake, but also like the cake already has icing, so it's not really needed. But at the same time, like it's always fun to just dip your finger in the icing and take a lick. Well, listen, here's the thing. We talked about Yelmet, and we mentioned stuff about Glowl with it, so let's talk about Glower herself.
But Glau's a good monster.
Who cares? It's boring if you just go.
Alright, fine. Glow is probably the only time in history where Glow screaming, like just screaming, it works.
Yeah, that's because the song is a screaming song.
When Dawn of Fire first came out, and I listened to Cave Island for the first time, Glowl was like my favorite monster for a week because I just loved it on Cave Island.
I didn't care about it for Cave Island. I mean, it definitely is the most important thing in that verse. I just didn't care about it. I don't know why. It's just typical.
Were you a
Like,
monster
oh wow, bro.
hipster?
Yeah,
It's too mainstream for you.
even though the opinion we're going to talk about later is the opposite of hipster.
Yeah, you're right.
Listen, Glowl, it's good. Like, Glowl, it does its job, and it does its job the best that it's ever done since 2015. But, I mean, it's like Mammoth. It's not revolutionary by any means. It just is good.
That's fair. It's good, but there's just a lot of stuff that's really good.
It's had its power creep.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think there's a lot of like bland monsters, not bland, but like monsters like Growl and Mammoth. Like we've been talking about them a lot, just like all the monsters that like are good or are not the best, but you don't really have much to say about them in general. Like they're kind of like all the monsters on Coal Island that just do the same melody. So I think we should just try to get those out of the way. And there's only like a few more left. So once we get those out of the way, we can really get to the real juicy
The real
meat that we need to.
standouts.
Yeah. So let's talk about
Barb.
what I feel like. Yeah, Barb. Barb. Barb does.
Barb is my least favorite monster in MSM.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything wrong. It just doesn't do anything in general.
Ever,
I,
ever since its
what?
release, I listened to it on Continent, and I was like, wow, this literally is just like Thrumble mixed with Flower, and it does nothing because both of those melodies already exist in both of those aspects. Then I went to Cave On, and I was like, wow, this monster literally does nothing again because I can't fucking hear it. Then it came to Fire Haven, and I was like, wow, this monster
It's just
literally
hold
does
on.
nothing.
Bro, listen. I don't know about you about the whole "oh, I can't hear Barb" thing, because literally in every single full song I've heard of Cave Island ever, it's the most awful thing because they put Barb to like your far right ear in your headphones. So every time I listen to Cave Island with headphones on, I just get PTSD of Barb yelling into my right ear. It's in
Another thing
Pokes, it's in the soundtrack, it's everywhere.
Another thing with Barb is the fact that like it's literally got seasonal syndrome where it just does it the same thing as its first track. Like literally, on Continent it goes huh, Gahuga, and then on Cave it goes huh, Gahuga. It's like wow, it's very different and creative. Very good job, BBB.
Yeah. It's just I don't know what it's supposed to try to be doing. Like, it doesn't even play on the rhythm of everyone else. It's just doing. That's like my least favorite thing about that entire verse is that none of the monsters work together except for maybe Mammoth and Kana and Glowl and Yelmet. Freaking Wing, Barb, Riff, Quibble, they're doing their own thing. They don't complement anyone's melody. They're making their own melody, their own rhythm, and they all just don't do anything together.
That's part of the reason why it's so chaotic, but that's also why Cave Island is bad, because there's chaotic good, where it's like, oh, it's chaotic, but all the monsters are working together, so it's fun, chaotic. And then there's chaotic evil, which is Cave Island, and Cold Island, where it's awful sounding, but it's not the clever awful sounding.
Yeah.
Basically,
I think a good example of like chaotic good would be uh 15 Wublin Island, especially in like the Poke verse.
I wouldn't say that's chaotic, because that's still jamming.
Yeah, but you got Poke, who is
I
literally
think
the
the best.
definition of the word chaotic. You look at chaotic in a dictionary, and it's just a picture of Poke.
I think definitely the best version of chaotic is just Cave Island 1.4. That's when Yelmet was added. So it was that verse, but without like wing and
Oh
Barb and all
yeah.
that extra.
Well, that
It's just
version
like
still had Quibble though.
here's the thing: you don't hear Quibble because everyone's screaming.
Fair. Dude, that I'm putting that on a shirt. You won't hear Quibble because everyone's screaming.
Why would you want to?
I want to wear that. I want to wear that to a wedding and just scare everyone.
That's chaotic good.
Yeah, I hope that entire tangent helped you understand why Barb is a bad monster.
Yeah, definitely what that's related to. Anyway, there's only one more boring monster, and it's not even boring. It's just Kana, and Kana, honestly, I think is slept on more than Mammoth for this island. Like Kana
Oh,
on this island is
I
one of the
love
better Kanas.
Kana on this island, dude. It's so good.
Dude, Kana's great.
This is back when Kana was like a
Barada.
really OP monster. Like, there was no bad Kanas. There was mediocre Kanas at most, but there was never like it never dipped too bad. And
Here's
then when it
the-
was good,
Back
it
then,
was
there was only
amazing.
three Kanas. There was Continent, which is OP, Cave, which is OP, and then Tribal, which is bad. That's Tribal. Tribal.
Tribal, yeah. Dude, don't say that. Now
You
people are
know,
gonna vote for it.
yeah. People are gonna vote for Water Island because Magpie is going on that tomorrow.
Yeah. Kana is amazing.
Yeah, Kana's great. I love Kana on this island. It's definitely kind of falls into that unremarkable thing, but I think even then, I'd say Kana's better than like Mammoth and Yelmet and even Glowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kana's
The,
like the heart of that verse.
Oh,
the thing
and
with Kana is
oh,
you can tell when a verse, like, Mammoth, you can tell the first monster they worked on in that verse was Mammoth, and they're like, oh, bro, yeah, Mammoth. And then they made Kana complimenting Mammoth, and it's like, bro, yeah, this song is being OP style. And then you get the rest of the monsters, and then you're like, where did this come from?
I think one of the best things about Kana, it's kind of related to what Ryan said, is just how amazingly it duets with Mammoth.
It's so perfect in the intro of the official soundtrack version where it's just Kana and Mammoth and everything just builds up. It's so perfect.
It's so
Imagine if that was the intro to Cave Island instead of just do 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 do.
Goddamn Quibble. Still haunting us all the way up here.
Bro, another thing about Kana is like with Cave Island, like it's a little hard to like with in general with islands, it's like not the easiest thing to just tell right away. Oh, this would be like super fun to cover or super boring to cover. It's like something you have to usually experiment with to find out. But like just singing Kana in your head tells me, oh, bro, I want to place those notes down.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's almost got like a
Yeah.
Kirby rhythm to it.
Wait,
Is that a reference to the official Kirby song, Koreans the puppet, whatever the fuck?
Okay, and guys, look at the list now. Okay, from now on, we're gonna be talking about the fun one.
Oh, bro.
What?
You know what's crazy?
What?
The least fun one on this list is Bogart.
Bro, that's true, but even then, it's not true because Bogart's OP on this island. But listen, I think of all of these, although we have interesting stuff to stay with, but I think there's a certain band-aid we should rip off. Riff sucks. Riff is awful. There is no reason Riff should have ever been added to this. It's like bringing your electric guitar to the orchestra. Like it can work sometimes, but you don't do it like now. You should have done that from the start, or never do it at all. And never do it at all is the better case for Cave Island because Riff sucks.
Okay, just like Quibble, I don't mind its first track. But it only plays once, and it plays like 3-5 notes. No, it plays 10 notes. Yeah, 10 notes total before it just becomes the worst.
It's like it wants to drown out the noise. That's what Riff tries to do.
Yeah, and it just becomes even more noise.
It is the definition of noise.
Especially when Riff plays chords, and because he plays chords, he invalidates my favorite sound in MSM.
Yeah, and it's like it also like the sound font also just sounds really like bad, and it sounds like
It's
really
grainy.
bad. Yeah, it feels like if someone like tried to put distortion on like a kid, like it's like a tiny guitar you get for your 3-year-old. It doesn't. It sounds so low quality.
Its Riff has fallen from grace like really hard. Actually, I can't even say that because it's great on Continent, but like
It's like
dropped the balls.
Riff had a great run going, and he was like pretty OP. Every monster falls eventually, and Cave was Riff fallen to the wayside.
yeah, and he fell
Riff
way
sucks.
harder than anyone could have ever guessed.
Yeah, Riff just sucks. It should not have gone to Cave Island. It doesn't fit at all. Just like there's a lot of other monsters on other islands. Like with their issues, is like this is bad because it's underutilized. Riff is underutilized. It shouldn't have been utilized in the first place. It just is like an inherently bad decision. On paper, it's bad, and in execution, it's also bad.
All right, but here, let me riddle you this. So, Riff on Cave, is it as impactfully bad as Magpie on Cold?
Well, here's the thing. The difference is
Magpie
Uh,
made a verse that was already bad even worse. Riff made a verse that
Riff
you
did the
could
same
listen
thing.
to. The Riff made a verse that had really good stuff in it and made it unlistenable.
Before Riff, uh, the verse, like the main climax verse, it was like it was pretty flawed. It had lots of issues. A lot of people had a bone to pick with it, and I think it is. I think it is flawed still, like just on its own without Riff. It's definitely flawed. It definitely needs tweaks. But like, it was like it was kind of like I don't know how to describe it. There's no really good example, but it was flawed, but to the point where you could still enjoy it. It was like the state of most MSM islands, honestly, where it's got issues, but you still like, oh yeah, I can get past these issues because the composition and most of the execution is really good. And then it was the equivalent of adding the entire Pointless Five into one verse.
And one monster.
Riff
Yeah.
sucks.
Alright, there's only one more bad monster in this list, but I kind of want to save it for later.
Okay, let's talk about Bogart then.
Bogart?
Super OP on the sound. Super duper OP.
Imagine
Honestly,
the song without Bogart.
Bogart is literally just better
okay.
Quibble on this island.
Yeah, because guess what? It does its job. It plays in the sad verse too.
Yeah, and it has like the perfect track in the sad verse. It's got this nice little melancholy dun 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 dun, and it's like, bro, what? Why? This
Yeah,
is the
and
best thing I've
the
ever
way
listened to.
they just let it hang on the last part as well, just the dun 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 dun.
Yeah, because
I mean,
that leaves room for flower.
and that's super OP, and then it's even more OP in the first verse because it has this entire.
Yeah, the arpeggiation.
Yeah, it's so well done, and it's super. It fits the theme perfectly, and it also like Cave at the end of the day is the end goal. Currently, it's the final island, and it feels so fitting because when you open Dawn of Fire for the first time, that's what you hear. You hear, it's in a different key. It's like a different song, but it has that same like key melody just like in the entrance. It's like, oh, I'm getting myself into fun. And this is just that entire thing, but completely changed in context and flipped on its head. And you get Bogart on Cave Island's first track. And it's just perfect.
One thing I really like about Bogart is how it kind of warrants the song being in a different time signature. Because it would have been just kind of. It wouldn't be able to flow so fluently if it was in a different one.
Yeah.
A lot of the times it's hard to, like, warrant something different in a song. You kind of just do it for fun. But you truly couldn't change the time signature of the song without ruining Bogart.
Yeah. This is one of Bogart's best tracks. I wouldn't say the best, but it comes close.
It's hard to
Oh,
beat Plant Island.
I'd say if anything, it beats Plant Island, but it's hard to beat like Continent and Gold Island.
I don't like it on Gold.
Okay, that's a fair point. But, okay, here's the thing. So Bogart is amazing and all, one of the best sounds in the entire game. Also, it's not in the top three.
No, it's not in the top three. We saved all the top three for last.
Yeah.
It's a good thing because I like ending on good notes.
Well, if we're gonna end on a good
no. We're gonna end. We're gonna go for good, and then we're gonna switch to bad before ending on the best note. That's how I want to do it.
Okay. Well, if you're gonna do that, then I guess that means Now here's the question. Do we do arguably like the most OP monster in the main verses or the secondary verses?
Let's do the secondary verse.
First, you would say that okay, Krillby. Krillby is super OP on this island.
Yeah,
I
you
love
take
Kirby.
everything we raved about Bogart for, and then complement that with, like, the perfect melody.
Krillby is a perfect monster.
It has no bad. It has a track that would be good if it was louder. That's literally the worst Krillby gets.
Movie is just so amazing in every like. It feels so like a lot of nowadays. It's easy for a lot of monsters to just sound like it's like they're instruments, but it just sounds like a person with a single finger picking a keyboard because like the way the notes flow. Krillby flows perfectly, like especially with like it doing that thing with like one note and then going directly into a different note, like it doesn't. It just flows so naturally, and it feels like a genuine person playing an instrument.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was, honestly.
Dude, so the very, very, very small thing about Krillby that kind of goes to the whole like note changing thing. The best part about Krillby, how you know it's an authentic instrument, is the the one note where it goes dun dun dun.
Yeah.
That note is very, very, very slightly off tune, and it adds so much. It is so perfectly executed to be like slow and sad, but also kind of like distorted. Krillby's great.
Krillby is just, it's so passionate, dude.
Easily argue Krillby being the best monster in all of them. You could easily make that argument.
Dude, I wouldn't even fight you on that.
I would because of number one, but I could easily. I'm so disappointed for what we got for Fire Islands, considering we could have gotten the two best monsters in all of them instead of Tring and Snizer.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. Since Seth over here is biased, we had to save this one for last. Let's talk about his favorite monster on this island, and not in general, close to in general.
Second.
Let's talk about Flugel.
I love Flugel, dude. I've been wanting to rave about Flugel forever. This is my favorite track in MSM history. My favorite track used to be Fung Prey, but I've listened to Flugel so many times at this point. Flugel on Cave Island is my favorite sound in MSM.
It's so not Flugel, but it still works.
Just, it's so empowering. It takes the chaos and then it just like drives it forward in the best way possible. And that is what I meant earlier when I said I fucking hate Riff. Because Riff plays chords and it makes Flugel, who also basically just plays the long notes, impossible to hear until it hits that really strong note.
Here's another thing with Flugel. It's like Ryan said, it doesn't really fit Flugel. Flugel's always been a happy-go-lucky party monster, but like this is the perfect example of what they were trying to do, like with Waddle on Fire Oasis, because they explained what they were trying to do. So, monsters have like they're not one-note beings; they have all their personality to them, and this is the perfect example of just showing that off. That Flugel can get serious, and when he does, it ain't gonna stop it from being something you can rave to.
The only thing I can say negatively about Flugel on this island is that I remember Ryan said once that it is very, very slightly offbeat.
Mm-hmm.
One note is just like minusculely offbeat.
You don't notice it in the full song, but like individually, if you played along with Shelby, it's very noticeable.
Also,
it's funny, but who cares?
Another thing that's funny about Quibble is that it's the only monster on Cave Island that plays in that verse that has one whole like track instead of tracks that repeat.
That's fair.
No, it has. Oh, yeah, you're right. No.
It's not. It doesn't repeat anything. It's always changing, and I think that helps make it so that that verse doesn't become repetitive. Because if you just played Mammoth and Kana on their own, you'd probably get annoyed because they're just single. I don't know what they're called. Tracks, I guess.
Yeah.
But then you play Flugel with them, and you're like, oh my god, this is the best island. And then you put everything else in there, and you're like, this.
Again, like, okay, I don't know how some people find this in this situation, but there's plenty of times where I'm just like bored, and I'm just like at my computer with a music program like FL Open, and I'm like, if I'm bored, one of the few things I consistently do often It'll just be like, bro, it's time for Flugel on Cave Out, and then start playing his notes.
Flugel is such a monster that I love so much that I low key, very actually high key ripped off its melody for Ornthorn.
Okay, you know what's another thing great that's great about Flugel? I was thinking this in perfect how to say it. With its melody on this island, it's also like it can so easily like be switched because you can just go the slow methodical duh, 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 duh. But like also imagine it's better just duh, 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 duh. It's like a slight difference, but it also is a huge difference, and it's like not like not many melodies can like really do that so perfectly like Flute can.
Yeah, it's rare that you can take the notes and kind of shift how long they play, but still have it be recognizable.
Yeah.
It almost functions like a leitmotif if they ever used those.
Cave Island is great. I, I love Cave Island. I just wish Riff wasn't on it.
And
Anyways,
it's time to talk about a controversial opinion because apparently people really like this monster on this island. Guys, what's your opinion on Flog?
bro,
It's
Fog just does like how Ryan feels, just wah, wah.
it's just it's no, 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 no. You're not flogged, dog.
This is
You're
one of
not
those
flogged.
moments where it's kind of like the antithesis to Flugel because Flugel got out of its comfort zone, but it did so in a way that complemented the song. Flog went out of its comfort zone and wanted to be a melody, and it just backfired hard because it does not have the timbre or the inflection or the anything to be a melody.
Okay, hold on. Was Kirby added like in an update or was it
Yeah,
in
it
the
was in an
base?
update.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Fog was in the bass song. Krilby was added like a year, like not yeah, about a year later.
Okay, so it's kind of that kind of fault because imagine if Flog wasn't in the game and then Krilby was in the base game and then Krilby's OP and then Flog comes in and it's like, oh my goodness, Flog is the best monster. But that isn't the case. It's all timing. And so it's Flog being like, I'm gonna have to be a melody in order for this song to sound like a song. And then Krilby comes in, which automatically turned it from what it should be a melody to a counter melody, which isn't what Krilby should be if he's been cucked ever since the beginning of time. That's the one problem I have with Fog, is Fog completely cucks Krilby of what his role should be for something that's insignificant to the song.
And just way worse.
Literally, Fog, like, it would be fine. Imagine if Quibble played what Flog played, but like toned down a bit so that Krilby was the on top. That'd be OP, but no, it's just Flog playing the most boring ass rhythm of wah 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 wah
It's
wah
literally,
wah.
he just plays on every beat.
Yeah, it's literally just wow, triple it. Like wow, dude, you're just doing Bogart but less. Way to go, melody, gold star. You're good. No, you're not.
It's just boring. It's so like basic. Like with all of the stuff on Cave Island, you have Mammoth going ham. You got even freaking Flower is like spicing it up with offbeats and stuff. Not even offbeats, just like triplet beats.
Yeah.
But you got Flog here, just like no, I just want to play on the beat. I have no rhythm at all.
It also like something with Fog is like I can understand what they were going for. Like honestly, the idea of Fog being on Cave Island isn't a bad idea because his voice like is usually not used in this context, but it could easily be like used in the context that it is to just be like the super like sad somber voice, and it could work. But like, the issue is that it just isn't needed because Krilby and Bisonorous perfectly do the melody, and Fwog is cool and all. I feel like Fwog is pretty cool and sound individually, like in general, but like three is a crowd.
Alright, imagine this. What if it was, instead of doing what it does now, it was like Gold Island, where he just played the first note of the bar. So it was just wow, 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 wow.
I don't know if that'd be better.
I feel like that'd be better because that gives Krillby the melody and it makes Fwog back to like a support. It'd be chord fodder, but Fwog can work as chord fodder, especially when it's designed to complement other monsters.
But at that point, he just becomes chords.
Yeah, and
I
that's
mean,
better
he
than
is
what we have right now.
fair.
Because what we have right
Listen.
now is fucking.
Listen, if you were gonna do that, then what we have to do is bring back the harmony that Flog normally has. Because I don't know why they scrapped that shit. It doesn't work without it.
No, it doesn't. Here's to hoping Fwog glows up on an upcoming island.
Real smooth.
Real smooth. Yeah, whatever.
Okay, now let's talk about like the best monster in all of MSM. No arguments. It's Bisonorous time.
Bye, Sonorous.
I remember when this guy came out and people didn't like him.
How?
Diddly dum.
Dum diddly dum. Oh god, I can't get it. I literally every single time we talk about Bisonorous, I always, and I mean always, go in a separate tab and just play its individual sound on loop.
Listen, I don't think its sound individually is something to put high hopes for. I think its placement in the song on the beat that it does is something revolutionary.
Mm.
It is so cleanly executed. Like, it is cream of the cream.
It is a monster that was worth waiting for.
It really was. Bisonorous is so good. His design is perfect, exactly what an MSM monster should be.
Its animation is amazing.
It's great because he's tapping his lapping. Sound is one of the best sounds in MSM history.
Its melody is fucking something. It's next level. It's up there with that fucking thwack shit, dude.
I'd say it's better than Fwak.
I would say it's better than thwack. I'm just saying it's up there.
And like another thing, I didn't even it does this so seamlessly. I didn't even notice till I think it might have been Ryan pointed it out to me. They do it so perfectly, like to make amazing use of the fact that 6'8", they have his triplets be when he diddly, and like you don't even notice, like, oh, dumb diddly dumb. It makes sense, but you don't even notice that it's triplets, but it is, and it's so clever and perfect.
Bisonorous would not work on any other island.
He has to be in us. Yeah. Here's the thing. Actually, here's the thing. Bisonorous is gonna probably be that one monster that like he gets added to the island, and then he's like, you know what? Polyrhythm time.
I'm
Long as
thinking
it's
2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That it is 4/4.
It's 4/4 triplets, aka 6'8".
Whatever.
yeah. With Bisonorous is amazing, and yeah, I feel like the one thing that they might eventually do if they use him enough times, which would I feel like I really hope they like hold on to the diddly and keep him having like polyrhythms and stuff, because they're not going to move away from it. Everything's going to either be 4/4 or 6/8. So I hope that means that he's going to be able to do what he does, because I feel like what sets Bisonorous apart is the diddly. Because if it was just dum 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 dum, it'd be the most boring thing ever.
That's just Kana on psychic.
Dude, I don't know. I feel like we could rave about Bisoners for years.
I
For
saw
real.
it's different.
Think about it. They added Riff, and we thought Cave Island was dead, and then they added Bisoners.
It's okay. Listen, literally, I I did not think it was possible for something like this to happen. It'd be like, imagine if they added a monster to Wublin Island that, without changing the composition, somehow was so good that it made Wublin Island worth listening to despite the pointless five. That's what Bisonorous does somehow. Like, it doesn't even touch those first verses. They still suck, but Bisonorous just makes it all worth it. Man, he only plays the song, and he's not in the official soundtrack yet.
Yeah, BBB, please give us Bisoners in the soundtrack. I will literally pay you money.
Before Bisonorous existed, no, like everyone was like, yeah, the new soundtrack would be cool, but I didn't really care that much. Once Bisonorous, everyone's like, bro, I need this soundtrack by tomorrow.
But guys, remember when like first came out, people were like, "No, he's offbeat."
God.
Literally, imagine a worst world where Bisoners plays on beat 1. It's one of those moments where the community needs a wake up. This is like a call to arms. Stop dissing Bisoners. He's literally one of the best things BBB has ever done. We need to encourage them to do this shit more.
And
He's the best monster, dude. Like, no competition. Besides, like, Bogart, who cares about him?
And, like, maybe some of the Celestials.
And here's another thing with, like, Bisonorous. It's like, I've seen a lot of people say that, like, they love Deuce and want Deuce to come back and prefer Deuce is where I cross the line, because, like, Bisonorous is so much better than Deuce in every single way. Like, you know what Bisonorous always it's not even exactly what it is, but I've always thought it always has, to me, it looked like, you know, like the little icons for like new players were just basic monster outline. It feels like they tried to make a monster that to be the outline monster that's always used in like Friends and stuff. It's like, oh, that's so.
Yeah. It does kind of look like that. I never really thought of that aspect of it. I could never understand why people would want Deuce over Bisoners. Deuce is just kind of
boring.
It looks like everything else. Bisoners is out there. It's wide. Its mouth shape is completely different.
Bisoners looks, honestly, kind of like Bisoners looks basic, but not at the same time. It's like literally the most basic what you'd expect from a monster in this kind of game, yet it hasn't been done before somehow.
It's so inspired, yet like so down to like earth for MSM.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And all of this is this is all based on Bisoners, but the only kind of missed opportunity, it's not even a missed opportunity because I really like the direction they took with it. The Emperor Bisoners is just like the cherry on top of the cake. The flourish it adds is literally the cherry on top.
I just wish they animated it better, or like had it be so Standard says dumb and Emperor says diddly because he's all high and mighty and diddly.
It made the echo actually make sense.
But he's on Cave Island. Everything already has echo. So who cares?
Yeah, but it's not.
And
That's
also,
more reverb than
well, they
echo.
didn't really animate the echo that well. Like they tried, but they like stopped for the second half. That's Bisoners' one weak spot, is the fact that like they didn't really go full out. If they went full out on the echo to really make it seem like it, that would have been cool. Or if they just like did the thing with like dum 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 and then ever diddly dum.
The worst part about using echoes in music is that the echo either has to not work like a real echo, or it makes the verse crowded because an echo just doesn't trail off the final note. It'd be echoing the entire verse. So making it a second guy who just kind of trails it off is literally like the most MSM thing I could think of. It's taking an idea that people use that doesn't make sense when you think about it, and then they're like, wait a minute, what if we just change the context of it? And boom, you got a design that is perfect.
I really like want Bisonorous to have more islands because he's like a perfect monster. I don't like. I said it about Kirby, kind of, and Kirby's pretty perfect. I don't think there's a monster that's as perfect as Bisonorous.
Okay,
It's
but adding Bisonorous to more islands would be an inevitable island where Bisonorous is bad. We don't want that.
But does it even have to be?
I mean, that's true. I just want like here's the thing. At the same, it's like gambling. I'm addicted. I want. I don't care if it's, I have to roll the dice. I want the chance to hear Bisonorous again for him to be OP.
Think about it.
Like
Bisonorous is like absolutely amazing on Cave Island, but yet it still feels like it hasn't grasped its full potential.
I just hope there's a chance for it to do that. But knowing how slow Dolph is moving, probably not. Okay, and now,
Cave Island as a whole,
Cave Island is
it's
like
messy.
Cave Island's like an abusive girlfriend. Like you keep coming back, but you really shouldn't.
Mm.
There's a reason to come back, but overall,
Island is. We have to do the full thing, so we can't just say without riff. The island as a whole is really messy and sometimes it's a bit of a chore to listen to, especially if you're listening to the in-game version, due to the fact that like in-game the sounds are just like so much crunchier and less mixed. They're not mixed at all, so it really like doesn't really like work that well. That's probably one of MSM's like in general one of MSM's biggest downsides is the fact that because of the entire 3D sound, that means no mixing.
Yeah. That's why the soundtracks are usually way better.
Yeah. So yeah, Cave Island soundtrack easily the best soundtrack version, but for full song, it's got a lot of issues and it's really messy. But at the end of the day, it's always go. I'm fine with spending of like 30 seconds having to wade through the riff verse and like trying to just focus on like Kina if it means getting to that sweet succulent Bisonorous.
Plus, to be fair, that verse still has Flugel, and it has Mammoth and Kana. It's oh my god, it's difficult. It's literally such a polarizing island. There's so much good stuff on it, but there's also just so much bad stuff on it. It doesn't have any like. I mean, it has a couple true neutral monsters where, like, yeah, if you remove them, it won't change much, but I'm kind of glad they're there. But it's just it's got some of the worst shit, but then it's got some of the best shit. And
like,
I honestly think the goods outweigh the bads on it.
I agree. At the end of the day, it's always like Cave Island is like there's some islands where it's like I don't really want to listen to this. This is like a chore to get to. Cave Island is, but also isn't at the same time. So I think it's like I always have a good time listening to Cave Island because at least Bisonorous happened. Like it's got all those good stuff happening.
Cave Island is a good is in my opinion better than Firehaven.
Yeah,
Firehaven is currently the highest map or island we have on the list.
Here's the thing. I think we probably gave like Firehaven like 4s and stuff. Like I don't know if we're ranking yet, but if we are, then I don't know when we're gonna rank. But I'm definitely voting it a little higher than a 4.
Because Firehaven is not a bad song, but it's got nothing standout. It's average. There's nothing to talk about. Cave Island has really bad things, but it has stuff to talk about. Even the bad things, there's things you can talk about, things you can do, like, to make them better. Even the least impactful monster, Thumpies, has things in it that you can talk about to make it better.
At the end
There's
of the day, and the
just a lot more.
here, I've thought this forever, and I'll always think this: a bad song is better than a boring song. If it's a bad song, I can listen and enjoy it, and like in a different way than just like enjoying it for what it is, and I could like discuss it and see through it. But if it's a boring song, I have no reason to ever revisit it. Like with
Yeah.
bad, it's like you want to figure out what's wrong. With boring, it's like, oh, I see what's wrong. It's boring. Bye.
I honestly have no problems with giving Cave Island like as high as a 6. Even higher, honestly. I love Cave Island. It's got personality.
I think it's time we do our ranking then.
I say 6.
What do you say, Ryan?
I'm so torn between 6 and 7. 7 sounds like too much merit, but 6 sounds like too little merit. 7.
I'm also going with 7.
Alright. And I think Pommy
You
fell
still
asleep.
here?
Nah, listen, it's fine. Pommy talked at the beginning, so she's warranted in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for Cave Island. Oh, wait, no, it's not. Guys, we forgot a monster.
What monster?
How long do you think it's gonna take for them to add Chorister to the island?